Hi, I'm Craig. That's my brother Brad. Welcome to Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Life is hard, but you can't give up. Let's have a conversation. Weekdays, we're gonna make it today. Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Episode 63. Here we are. We made it.
I'm just so proud of us. We are surviving this climate.
It's crazy. It's crazy. This climate, yes. It's funny. I always go back to the comments because we read every comment. It's important because the algorithm's a big. So,
Yes.
just a quick reminder, the algorithm is a very big deal with commenting and stuff. So we read all of them. And I wanted to let you know that, I've had some pretty fascinating conversations the last few days. Oh my gosh, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. But yes, the idea of surviving through this climate is amazing. Amazing.
Well, each episode is it's like we're climbing a mountain without any harness.
Oh,
And
yeah.
each episode is just another rock that lets us get to the next one. But it's also like there's little people throwing harpoons at you while you're trying to get to the top or something like that.
Yep.
But whatever. You know what? I'm starting to, at this point, so we're at a level with this show where we can read all the comments and it's creating good dialogue back and forth between figuring out what people like, what they want to hold against us, even though they don't even know us, but they've seen us on the internet, so they know our whole life. It's a funny situation to be on, but I'm going to start focusing more on everybody. Because there's quite a bit of people enjoying the show. And I want to say, if you're enjoying this show, thanks for watching. Tell somebody about it. Somebody that, you think might enjoy it. Let them know. Thanks for hanging with us for 63 episodes now.
Yep.
Oh, that was supposed to be a whistle. I couldn't do it.
Way to go. Nice.
Terrible. Got to pull Dad in on here.
I realized I didn't change the title of tonight's show, so I just changed it on a whim.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the Simpsons and Muppets are stupid. Way to go, Disney.
God,
there you go.
They got to ruin everything.
I know. Sorry. Can I read a comment real quick? It's not the comment of the day, but I found this fascinating.
Okay.
Sure. This was I'm not going to make the I just want to read this. I'm not going to say their name. They said on the YouTube community, I just put are you mad? Right? This are you mad at us? This was after the other day, people were pissed at us, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And this guy goes, "Not mad. You were my childhood. Just hate the way your brain operates."
Okay.
Is that not the most sick, demonic way of potentially thinking? Sorry, we don't like the way you think. I don't really appreciate how your
How
brain
do they
operates.
even know what's going on in your brain?
Oh, they know.
Yeah,
They know.
that's funny. Yeah, look, I really looked up to you, but after not knowing you personally for all this time, I've realized how your brain actually works inside your skull, and I don't like it.
I understand that you used to talk about Bonk's adventure and make top 10 videos and stuff. I understand that, but I clearly know who you are as a person. I think that's one of the most fascinating things about this. I was listening to a guy talk the other day, and he goes, I'm a three-dimensional person, right? I like, he's talking about comic books. He's like, I like comic books, but I also like waffles, and I also like whatever, and you can be more than the guy who makes videos or the guy who streams, and I think that's what people want now, but especially when you've had careers like we've had that have been longer, people expect you to be this one-dimensional cardboard cutout of, the guy who would give you the countdown or whatever, or make funny videos or hit the guy in the nuts, or the crazy boss or whatever. Yeah. And, hello, we're real. So
yeah, I saw a comment on there that was like, is this what Screw Attack Craig has resorted to? And I'm like, you do realize this isn't Screw Attack.
Yes.
It's just not.
If it was, Screw Attack would be canceled, friend.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
that's the reality of it. 'Cause, there's a very finite time where Screw Attack could exist, and we got out.
Yeah.
Like, we're out of that time. So
yeah, and I had a conversation the other day with somebody on Facebook just the other day who was they were
you had a
ragging on
conversation
me.
with somebody on Facebook.
Look, I have so many conversations on Facebook, and it's incredible right now. Most of them good, some of them a little tense. But I had posted something somebody disagreed with, and she wrote me and she was like, "You need to focus on your music," and I'm like, all right. And she brought up the point that she hadn't heard anything from me in 12 years. And I
I
was
feel
like,
like you told the story like 3 times.
no. This is a different person now.
Oh,
I'm getting ganged up on now
okay.
from different various directions. Because people need to let me know. But they had said you need to focus more on your music. And I found out about you 12 years ago. And I was like, well, if the last time you heard anything from me was 12 years ago, then you're not paying attention, because I'm doing something like guys like you and me, Craig. Like, you're right. Like, what do we do? You've got projects you're working on outside of this podcast. I've got projects. Was I a podcaster, host of a show before this? No, I just do things. We've talked about this. I've been a stock photo model before. I've done the most random things in my career. I love music. That's what I totally do most of the time, but I have other things and you have other things. And this is one of them, the greatest show on the internet, Weekdays with Craig and Brad.
Hey, that's awesome. That's what I'm inspired now. I'm inspired.
Go get the world and grab it by the nuts and just say, hey, I was about to go into UHF.
Do it.
No, these floors are dirty as hell. I was going to go into that scene from UHF.
Man, let's go with this. Adam from YouTube has joined us tonight, who has been busy with school, resubbing tier 1 for 5 months. Says, hey guys, sorry about the absence. You know how school is, Adam. I hear you, baby. I hear you. Well, I'm glad you're here tonight. Hopefully we see a lot more. We had a crazy stream today. Crazy stream today. It was nuts. Adam Z-Rocks, resubbing tier 1 for 7 months, says, dig the Street Fighter shirt, man. Also, been a hot minute since I've been here. Hi guys. Adam, great to see you. Glad you're here. Do you like my shirt? It has a palm tree on it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's good.
It looks like it reminds me of the old OP shirts.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, absolutely. OP, that's right. Before we really dig into all the fun that we've been having with this show and the comments that we've been receiving, and once again reading every single one, how about we talk about the YouTube comment of the day? Hey, that's the wrong
That's
one.
not it.
Damn it.
Spoiler alert.
Well, we're gonna talk about. Well, I mean, hopefully by the title of today's stream,
Yeah.
Here we go.
What is it, Craig?
There it is, right there. It's from
Okay.
Dragon Boat. He says, "If I had a little brother like Brad, if I had a little brother like Brad that was like that, there would have been a lot of beatdowns at first. Then I would have got in trouble with my parents. Then later it would change to ignoring him to quote take attention and power away." But would probably evolve to retaliation, annoyance, or messing. Don't get mad. Get even. Dragon Boat.
Yeah.
You get it. You get it. You get it right there.
I loved
Nice.
reading the comments on the last video because look, that video was real life. That video we shared with you. That was a fly on the wall moment of Craig and Brad's tween, not tween, I guess
straight up
teenage years. Yeah, I guess I must have been 12 or 13 or something.
You were 14, Brad.
Was I 14 at that point?
If I was 16, I was 14.
I sure was acting like a tween, was. But that's a job. That's the job of the younger brother.
That's the job, right?
I'm glad I could have been there for you during those times.
Nice. Adam wants to know how has Texas been? Texas has been well. It's crazy. It was 77 today. It was -2 last week, so it's been pretty crazy.
Beautiful afternoon this week, this afternoon. It's funny because I was telling Kelly, my wife, I said, you wouldn't know that 1 week ago, like
No.
like it's all gone. All the
Mhm.
snow's gone. You know, I don't know how the electricity's going with other people. Are there still people that are? How's the power grid situation going?
I think everyone's recovered. I
In
think
my
so. I don't
in
know.
my town, everything's sort of just back to normal,
Mhm.
and we're just like, okay,
Yeah.
except this, the garbage men still haven't come after like a week and a half. Everybody's
What?
garbage is sitting out on our streets. What's up?
Oh. Oh man.
Come on.
I don't get it. Hey, Pageless says doesn't no matter how long I go between streams, it's always quality. Hey, Pageless, thank you so much. Appreciate that. That's what we do. Hey, real quick, this is great. The Kyle Universe says the thumbnail of Craig's angry face needs to be a shirt. This one here, this thumbnail right here. If somebody could just take that thumbnail and just like maybe create an outline of it, and we'll put it on a shirt for the 69th episode.
I was thinking we got to get another shirt out there soon. We've sold all of our shirts from the last run, our 50th show limited run. We only had 20 of them. They went in a week. They're out of here. Collector's item. Faux show.
Faux show.
Pop that up on eBay in a year, and you make at least your money back, maybe, or less. You might have lost the money, actually.
Just Mac wants to know, was that the first time you ever had snow where you lived? Oh, no. That's the first time we've ever had that snow where we lived. Like, that was crazy. That was insane. It was the worst weather in 70, 80 years in Texas, period. And, I'm not 70, 80 years old, despite what some people may think. So, I've never experienced weather like that before.
No, we usually get snow for about half a day, sometime in January or February. Everybody gets excited, tries to build a snowman. They make this little like mud clotted, like dry grass snowman, and it's about 3 feet tall, and it's gone by the afternoon. That's usually about the extent of Texas snow. If we get anything more than that, it's a big deal. Schools close and everything. And so that's why this go around was just like the apocalypse of Texas.
Right. Adam says Florida never snows. You know how it is, but it does rain. It rains like crazy. Hey, speaking of t-shirts, want to give it up to Armored Armadillo right here, coming in with the Weekdays with Craig and Brad t-shirt right here, limited edition, one of the 20, the logo t-shirt right there. Look at that bad boy. Hey, thank you so much, Armored Armadillo, for the support. Outstanding stuff, and you look sexy as shit. Oh my god, that's crazy
looking shirt on you. Hey, if you got a shirt, because we featured 2 shirts on here, there's 18 more shirts out there. If you got one, take a picture, send it our way. We'll
frame it,
whatever.
Whatever.
We'll
Also, with the amazing segments we have on our show, it's also time for the hashtag Bring It Back Challenge. Let's go with that. All right, this one is great. I'm very, very excited about this. You sent this my way. This one came earlier, and it's so simple. When you speak of the hashtag Bring It Back Challenge, it's all about bringing things back. Brad, tell a little bit about that.
The Bring It Back Challenge is where Craig and I invite you to partake in a little experiment where we bring back an old saying or phrase that's kind of gone out of style over the last 20 or 30 years. And examples of this have been up your butt and around the corner. Psych! You go, girl. Did we do any other ones outside of that?
That's it right now, but it will expand. Yes,
we'll have more. So we invite you to film yourself using this in some way, and then you send it our way using hashtag Bring It Back Challenge, and we'll share it right here on the show.
This one is from Lost Within Worlds, bringing back You Go, Girl.
This is a good breakfast, babe. You made this breakfast, right? You go, girl.
Hey, can we talk really quick about look at how happy she looks when he says that. This is joyousness. This is what it does.
You go, girl.
Look at that. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. She's like, yeah.
Thanks. I guess I do go a little bit. Thanks.
I do go, boy. That's right. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Nice. Beautiful moments. Thank you. Yeah.
I love that Indy Jones is right. He's like, you made this breakfast. Yeah, the idea that it just like showed up. It's like, hey,
you made this, right? Hey. It just showed up.
That's wonderful. Love that. LP fan, El Renero, guys, thank you so much for being here. Great viewership tonight. Thank you guys very much for popping in. We got an excellent presentation for you this evening, episode 63. Man, we're gonna have a great show. Do you want to get? Yeah, every show's a big one. Do you want to get into the big stuff? Do you want to get right into it?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I want to start. I want to start making sure we pull a late night host conversation when they come out and they talk about the show. They're like, every show's like, we got a really big show for you tonight. So I want to start doing that with our show. We got a really big show. It's one of the best.
Okay. So, do you want to redo the intro and everything?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
So we're going to start with our Simpsons story here.
Sure. Let's go with it. Let's go with it.
This was almost going to be a "What are we doing?" segment for me, and it led into another story. I saw this. I've been a fan of The Simpsons. Most of us have been since our childhood. This has been talked about for the last day or so. Harry Shearer will no longer voice Black Simpsons characters on the show, and The Simpsons announced this like, I don't know, a year ago or so that their cast members will no longer voice Black characters on the show. There's been a lot of controversy about this, but I saw this and I was like, what are we doing? The show's been on 30 years. Is it gonna, like the first thing that really came to my mind was and most of the cast, well, most of the characters on The Simpsons are yellow. So I don't understand. Like, what are we doing?
Well, so what I think is amazing is number one, he's an incredible voice actor, right?
Yes,
incredible voice actor.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're really going to take it seriously and you really want to stop everything that's going on,
mm-hmm.
you should just delete every episode that Dr. Hibbert's in, that he voiced, because
right.
And as Indy points out, right? Well, they better replace Bart's voice actor. The person who voices Bart is an older woman,
right?
Right? Like, it's not a young boy who voices Bart. So these are major issues here.
Yeah.
So
and then it made me sort of think like, well, where does the royalties go? Does he have to now forego any royalties for voicing Dr. Hibbert over the last 30 years and channel those into some sort of fund? I don't understand why at this point in time, after 30 years on TV, more than 30 years, hasn't it? It's been more than 30 years. 1989, The Simpsons debuted. They're not going to go another 30 years. If they do, well, we're going to have a different cast anyways. But I was looking into Harry Shearer. I was going, what voices has he done? He's done Principal Skinner, Kent Brockman, Mr. Burns, Waylon Smithers, Ned Flanders, Reverend Lovejoy. The Wikipedia page has already been updated. Formerly Dr. Hibbert, Lenny Leonard, Automan, Rainier Wolfcastle, Scratchy, King, Dr. Marvin Monroe, and Judge Snyder. Now, it seems like Dr. Hibbert was the only Black character that he played out of that list. It just seems a little... I'm like, your whole show doesn't have like accurate depictions of people's color, really. Like Bart, who has spiky hair, like, are we going to get this literal with who voices a cartoon now?
So
is that the line that we're at?
Carl's been brought up in the chat several times, and thank you very much. Carl was voiced by Hank Kazarian as well. And I actually I didn't know that Carl was, have you heard Carl's new voice? Have you heard the new voice?
No,
for
I
Carl?
haven't. I haven't watched The Simpsons in probably over a decade.
Okay, hold on. I have his new voice. I want to make sure we hear his old voice real quick. Because I feel like this is, kind of important that we establish a baseline here. It's important. So, Adam came in talking about "You Go Girl," saying the only time he'd ever say that is if his future girlfriend beats beats him in Yu-Gi-Oh, and he said, "God, I hope the Simpsons doesn't end up surviving another 30 more years." The Simpsons fell off after 7-8 years.
Yeah.
All right.
You got it pulled up?
Yes, I'm
Because
downloading it.
I'm intrigued to hear because I honestly have not watched The Simpsons in over a decade now. The Simpsons, when you grew up in prime Simpsons time, it was the world stopped for The Simpsons.
This is legit, yes.
I remember they switched from like Tuesdays to Sundays at one point, and then they switched back to Tuesdays, and you didn't want to miss it. And we've all kind of grown up, but The Simpsons is still trucking along, and I have no idea what's going on with the show these days. But
okay, so I have Carl's original voices. Okay, and we're not going to show a whole lot because we can get flagged. But okay. I don't really know how this all works, with YouTube and stuff. So hold on a sec.
I think it's like if you drop food on the ground, you got 5 seconds to pick it up.
Really? Get 5 seconds.
You can share a clip from some other.
All right, here it is, really quick.
Hey, don't worry. Things are going to pick up once the entertainment gets here.
Ooh, that was his original voice in 1990.
Okay.
Okay.
He'll turn up soon, alive and well.
Okay,
that's the one that we kind of.
This is the one that. This is the Hank Kazarian voice.
43. As you know, our president, Chucky Fitzhugh, ain't been seen lately. We're all praying he'll turn up soon, alive and well.
Okay, so there's the Carl that I would say most people know, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 second. I was doing a quick Google search on who. I pulled up this thing. Hold on, this is going to show up and then it's going to delete. Okay, there you go. Let me show you this one last one. In his most recent, in his new voice, voice here is this one here.
You totally pwned him. Yeah, it's that bar that was featured on I'll Drink What Phil's Drinking with Phil Rosenthal. Different world. Okay, your turn to sing, Fred. You totally pwned him.
So there you go. That's his new voice.
I don't connect. It sounds like, I don't know who that voice actor is at all. The thing that I like about the Simpsons voices is that all the characters is that, you showed that first clip of Carl from 1990. They obviously went, that just doesn't fit. Let's try to change that tone. Let's give this character and his voice a connection here. When you see him, you got to think of the voice. And their voices, even though a lot of them are so, like Bart's, for example, so cartoony, like nobody really talks like that, but it sounds like Bart looks, right?
Well, it does, because that's the voice.
It does, but but that said, like the voice that I just heard, it sounded like just trying too hard. Like I'm making a voice for a cartoon. That was my initial impression, was like, oh, it sounds like I've never heard a voice like that on The Simpsons.
Right. You mean a voice of an African-American, Brad?
Maybe.
Is that what you mean?
No, I don't know. No, that's not what I mean at all. I'm listening to the voice and I'm putting it in context.
It's not very cartoony. Yeah, it's not very Simpson-y, I guess.
Yeah, that's all. It just doesn't match the tone of the show. I could hear that. Right. I could totally hear that voice on plenty of other cartoon shows, but maybe I haven't watched The Simpsons in a long time, so I just don't even understand the tone of the show at this point. I'm not going to overthink it too hard. It's just, for me as a OG Simpsons fan, to hear that after not paying attention for a really long time, it's like, whoa, okay. But you know what? In fairness, they changed it between 1990 to 1993. If they want to change it now, I'm not watching. I don't care. Do whatever you want. I do have seasons 1 through 20 on DVD. I will say that, but I have not watched any seasons between 11 and 20. I think they're all still sealed. So I haven't gotten around to it.
Winterblade says there's a reason professional voice acting is a thing. All the classic voices, some voices, are experienced veterans. Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, they at this point, 30 years, you walk in, you know what you're doing, and you know your characters, you know what they're going to deliver and how they're going to deliver it. I remember watching an interesting documentary on the guy who did the voice for Elmo. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Elmo, and when he started Elmo's voice, they had this puppet, this Muppet for Sesame Street, and Elmo's original voice was like when he was trying it out was like, "I'm Elmo," and it was like really off-putting and not at all the comfortable, nice voice that we all, the innocent, sweet, childlike voice that we all ended up loving for that voice. But he had to spend time and look at this puppet, and look in the mirror and get to know it. And I feel like that's what you do with cartoons. You don't just sort of like just be like, well, you've been doing this voice for 30 years now. And I know you know the character really well, but we've got
I
a
think
conscience knocking on our door now from society.
right. I think that there's more to that, right? More than just like when it comes to voice acting and stuff. I think it comes to any sort of acting, any sort of art where you're playing something. I was watching Sylvester Stallone. They're recutting Rocky 4, a director's cut of Rocky 4, which believe me, I'm actually pretty excited for. And when he's talking about the things that are happening in the movie, he says, and here he is speaking of Rocky, or here's Rocky, not here I am, right? It's cut away from Rocky, cut away from him, because it's just a character. And you think of these characters that Sly Stallone has played, whether it's Rocky or whatever, like he treats them as a separate entity from himself, but he knows them better than anybody because he created Rocky, right? So it's pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah, and so the question is, like I said, like so you're going to pick out all of the black characters on Simpsons, but what about all the yellow characters? What about anybody who's not another color? Like, how far are we going to take this? How about the next time the Little Mermaid is animated? Do we need to find an actual mermaid? Like, it's just kind of beyond. After 30 years, you don't just be like, well, we got to let you go because tweets.
So, it's funny. It's, I was actually, I saw something about this, about why the Simpsons characters are white, are yellow instead of, white. Right. But a lot of it has to do with, I got this article pulled up right here. I want to make sure we talk about this. The Simpsons writer who wrote a book recently shared a lot of the show's secrets. According to him, the decision to make the family yellow wasn't exactly a well-considered one. Rather, one of the artists thought she'd draw them that way because it made more sense considering most of the main characters don't have hairlines. He said, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie had no hairlines. There are no lines that separates their skin from their hair points. So the animator shows yellow. It's kind of skin, kind of hair. So that is the thought process behind it being yellow and them not being Caucasian. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's supposed to be so great about the Simpsons universe is that it's a cavalcade of color.
It's an escape from reality.
Yeah, exactly. Why do we have to do this? It's like when you go to Disney now and you see Starbucks in there. It's like, I don't want the real world in here. I'm entertaining myself.
Right.
Like, don't make me think about that even. Like, oh, I hope the voice to Bart Simpson is an actual 10-year-old boy. You're like, nobody needs to think like that. It's a cartoon. Let's move on. And Harry Shearer's like, God, he's one of the best.
Real quick, Tai says, as someone with a disability, can we talk about Ralph, the one character that is a bit offensive? I do like Ralph, though. I don't think Ralph's offensive at all. I think Ralph's just a dumb kid, and we all know dumb kids. Like that's what Ralph is. I've never thought once that Ralph was a kid with a disability. I just thought he was a dumb kid.
I never even thought about that, because the thing is that you take these characters that come at you at face value, and they're either funny or they're not, or they have a purpose in the story, and they're in and they're out, and you either laugh or you don't, or you connect or you don't. But I don't even ever think logically, like, well, what's their backstory? What's their DNA like? What's the, like, I don't get that involved in it. I just sort of, I either laugh or I don't laugh, and they're either funny or not.
I'm just doing. I just did a quick Google search of Ralph Wiggum disability, and
Mhm.
on the Simpsons wiki, it just says personality
Mhm.
disability. Is that personality disability? Is that a thing? Ralph suffers from learning disabilities of some sort, as evidenced by his apparently slow grasp of things in the world around him. His difficulty in studying and his sporadic speech impediments. I don't know. Tai, I would love to hear your thoughts on that. But the thing I thought that was most fascinating about Tai's comment was that, like, can we talk about Ralph Wiggum, the one character that is a bit offensive, although Tai, who has a disability, finds Ralph with apparently disability funny, or
Mhm.
they like them. So
Right.
I don't know. It's just interesting stuff. So
That seems to be the reoccurring thing that's happening in society right now. Everybody who's offended by something is not the person that even needs to be offended, and the people that are supposed to be offended are typically not offended. I'm not speaking for everybody there, but generally speaking, a lot of the feedback is like the people who are supposed to be offended are like, I'm honestly not offended by this. Like,
right.
it's fine.
As pointed out right here from Toastamax, says, I never thought Ralph was offensive. I just found him adorable. He had his emotional moments at a time during the show, and I feel for him. He was a fun character to watch and very enjoyable. I agree. I think Ralph is like one of the biggest. Like, I think
think about when Lisa rips his heart out.
Right.
How you connect with
how
Ralph.
you felt with Ralph.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's crazy. It's insane. That one access. Have you seen The Problem with Apu? Never seen it personally, and apparently Hank Azaria decided to step out of the role of Apu and Carl after watching it. I'm not quite sure that specific episode. Like I said, I haven't watched it.
No. That's not an episode. That was a documentary. About the character of Apu and how he was feeding stereotypes into the Indian community because of the voice and where he worked. And so this was a few years back, and I think this is what sort of started this chain of things with the Simpsons franchise.
Aren't all the characters in the Simpsons just giant stereotypes of? I mean, there's a giant man in a bumblebee outfit, right? Like there's a guy named Snake who robs cars. Homer is the quintessential American lazy worker, who just goes in and wants to clock out, right? There's the evil boss, like every single
the evil
character.
Rich man. Yeah. They're all based on some sort of stereotype. That's what makes it connect, I think, with people. You're supposed to watch it and be like, oh, that's me. I'm that person or that person. Now, I haven't watched that documentary. Maybe I should watch it. And the truth is, like, at the end of the day, if Hank Azaria stepped down and that was his own choice, then whatever. And if Harry Shearer decided, you're right, I don't want to do it, then that's fine. That's his choice too. I mean, I'm not going to tell him it's right or wrong. When these stories pop up day after day and you're like, well, how far are we going to go with this? And I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, as Captain Agent pointed out, Willie is the epitome of a stereotypical Scotsman, right? Like, grease me up woman, right? It's pretty fascinating. And since Berserk says Apu is one of the most successful people in Springfield,
right?
It's amazing.
You end up removing what makes them so great anyway. And also, like, to your point earlier and to what we'll be talking about here shortly with the Muppets, but like, if it's wrong, if it's truly wrong and it shouldn't have been that way all this time, then you need to go back in through every Simpsons episode and either revoice it or cut it out because it was wrong. We talk a lot about setting a bar and having a standard here, right? If they're going to start going into every single movie from the last 100 plus years and deciding, well, we need to re-edit everything so it conforms to society's rules as they are today, then you got to go back and do it with everything, not just the Simpsons. We got to go back through everything. And I guess that's what Disney Plus has started to do here with the Muppets, because the Muppets have been trending. This was the second story that came up, was the Muppet Show. Disney adds content warning over negative stereotypes. Now, this isn't just the Muppets, but they have added a content warning to the beginning of 18 episodes of The Muppet Show, which started streaming on the platform Friday. It reads, this program includes negative depictions and or mistreatments of people or cultures. It reads, these stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Now, this is the key word, wrong. They were wrong then and are wrong now, but we will still air them and make money off of these shows.
We will profit off the wrongness.
Yeah. Like if it's so wrong for 18 episodes, take those 18 episodes off. Just take them off. And for that matter, what other movies have this warning on it? Aladdin, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, The Jungle Book, The Aristocats, and Dumbo, some of the most beloved animations of our animated movies of our time. But if you're going to put the word wrong in there, right, it's wrong. But we're making an exception for the wrongness because we make a profit off of this. And these are huge franchises to our brand. I mean, Peter Pan, Aladdin, those are huge movies from our childhood. Dumbo, it's been around for 80 plus years now. They can't just take it away, can they? Well, it was wrong. What are you supposed to do? So at the end of the day, listen, number one, the Muppets are Muppets. And number two, the movies are cartoons. And look, there might be some wrong things depicted in some of those historical, in those movies based on the time that they were made. But do we have to do this? Do we really have, do you have to lay out the whole movie, right? If you're going to have a movie on Disney Plus and it has maybe like a sensual sex scene, do you need to put a warning before it and say,
well, you do. It's called the rating system.
Yes, that's what we're supposed to know. G, general audience, parental guidance for children under 13, and rated R. That's all you need to know. And then let us make the decision, right? Just put a rating on it. You don't have to hold our hand and walk us through it. That's where it's getting frustrating because now they're eking it in per episode. 18 episodes of this series, we've got to put a warning on because we don't want to get an email about it.
I pulled this up, and it has a little bit more detail as to why some of the things were removed. And Adam says, "Well, to be fair, some of the older media wasn't always politically correct, right?"
No, it wasn't. You're right, but you gotta ask yourself: are we going to do this for every single movie from here on out? Not just Disney cartoons. Disney will set the trend for it, and then other movie studios will follow.
Let me show you why this real quick. Then remind me to come back to my what I was going to say. Okay, so here we go. The show was created in 1976. Some scenes reportedly depict American singer Johnny Cash singing in front of a Confederate flag, a symbol that harkens to the U.S. history of legal and institutionalized slavery. Other scenes from the Muppet Show are under scrutiny for racial insensitivity, include content featuring guests like Steve Martin, Cleo Lane, Spike Milligan, Debbie Harry, and Kenny Rogers. So there you go. I guess that's specifically the points of interest here. So
But again, if they're wrong, I mean, there's right and then there's wrong. If you're going to say that that's wrong, it's wrong to steal, right? You can't go somewhere and just walk in and take something. It's wrong. But if you are a certain person, if you're a certain brand, you're allowed to walk in there and do that, and you can take it.
Like talking about putting like a disclaimer in front of things, right? Should you put a disclaimer in front of, like, I don't know, movies like The Patriot or Roots, or like things that are about that are built around time periods that where there was racism, or there was things that our culture today don't seem as acceptable. Should you go back and put warnings in front of those things so people are aware that they're going to go see So, what was the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in it? That was the Tarantino film and Samuel Jackson, and it was the movie about slavery. But like, should you put, that was in the last 5 years.
Django? The
Yeah,
Django?
Django Unchained, right? Like, should you go back and put something in front of that, and moving forward, like this is I'm legitimately asking this question. Moving forward, if you're going to do this, should you do this with all movies moving ahead, where like, look, there's some things in here that your cushy little mind may not be able to understand because it's not part of our today's society.
It's hand holding. It's
Right.
dumbing down the audience. When you create something that's art and you put it out there, you're not supposed to think of your audience as idiots. You're supposed to let them get involved in the story and analyze it themselves. Now, I grew up watching old silent films. I got into Charlie Chaplin when I was about 10 years old, and I was fascinated by this black and white grainy image. They weren't remastered back then. They were crummy reprints of reprints that had been handed down. But I was always drawn to these old movies because they taught me so much about history and the way things looked and how people dressed and what was funny and entertaining back then. And since then, I've gotten into other comedians like Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd, who are some of the silent greats. But if you watch these movies, you'll see from time to time, there's an extra that'll come in and they're supposed to be playing the part of a servant for a wealthy homeowner. And it's clearly a white actor of the time in blackface. Al Jolson was one of the most famous people who did blackface in films, and that was a common practice back then. And was it right? No, we can all clearly look back on that time and go, God, that's so embarrassing. What a shame that we thought that way, that we wouldn't, that we would put that into our culture and feed that. But do we have to go back all the way, right? Do you put a warning on it? Hey, this film was made in 1917, just so and then write out a big list? Or do you just have to assume that the person's educated enough to look at it and feel like we've maybe grown a little bit since then?
Right.
Maybe there's some history involved here that will teach us more about how embarrassing it is than actually you having to tell us that it's embarrassing, then removing it,
Can I talk about something really embarrassing right here? Canteen Girl said today a friend said they won't watch any media before 2008 because they don't want to be triggered.
Well, they're going to have to scoot up the date on that. At this point, it's if you watch anything made before 2020, it's going to be.
That's sad. Like, your friend, Canteen Girl, I want you to clip this. You are the most shallow, one-dimensional person I've ever heard in my life. So uncultured that you are afraid to watch anything before 2008. And I'm sorry if I'm triggering you, but that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Well, that's the ridiculousness that we're in. We have a generation getting neck deep in an offense. Whereas look, like I just said, I used to watch movies from back in the day when it was common practice for white actors to do blackface. Now, does that make me racist for watching it? Or can I tell you that I actually learned something from watching those historical films and that I used that knowledge in education, in my personality today, and what I think is right and wrong, right? You learn more by leaving it in sometimes.
Should we put, what about watching documentaries?
Right.
When you watch a Ken Burns documentary, right? Or whatever about anything that he's ever done. That's pretty jarring stuff.
Yeah, because what we're doing is what we're going to start doing is reframing history. It's not even just about what the context is in a video. You're retelling what actually happened in a different way, and which ultimately becomes what what's that word we like to talk about these days? Misinformation. Is that what that is? When you remove information to tell a different story, it sounds like we're creating misinformation through our media.
Right. So Adam came in on a couple things. By the way, Com gifted a tier 1 sub to Zen Gamer Max. Zen, I'm sure you already said thank you, but make sure you do. And Adam said, like way back, there were scenes of Bugs Bunny with blackface and of beloved characters doing controversial things. And then he followed up with, remember Blazing Saddles? That movie is anything but politically correct. But the thing about the thing about Blazing Saddles, which makes it amazing, is that it shows the absolute stupidity of racism. That's the entire point of the movie. Like, it makes these stupid white racist hillbilly guys look like the absolute buffoons in the movie, and that's what makes it so smart. Is it there's no way it could be released. You're right, 0% chance. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Totally, absolutely.
It's one of those things where you look at it's tough to look at the things that are happening today with the idea of I don't like to use this term because I think it's overused, but this just snowflake mentality, right? And snowflake gets tossed around so much, right? That's if you're a snowflake, whether it's supposed to be demeaning or a metaphor or whatever, right?
And that's used on both sides, by the way.
All sides.
Yeah.
You're a
Let's
snowflake.
be clear, because someone is going to hear you say snowflake and get offended, but that's used on both sides. It's a ping pong word. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's so like, what are we teaching? What are we teaching people if they can't be exposed to the errors of the past, right? And if your errors of the past, Simpsons guy, passed over the last 30 years, and you want to take a step back for your poor decisions over, half of your life, 30 years, whatever it may be, I think you should probably, take a real step back and all the profits that you made off that, you should probably do something with it. It was bad. It was what's the word Disney used?
Wrong.
It was wrong.
Yeah.
It was wrong. And and I think the only fair thing about it is that if you take a step back and you give it all back, because it was wrong. You too, Disney. It was wrong.
Well, the Simpsons are on Disney Plus now, right? So do they put a warning before every single Simpsons episode with Dr. Hibbert and say this cartoon is features a black doctor and was voiced by Hank Azaria, who is not a black man.
Right.
This was wrong then and it's wrong now, but enjoy your episode because the Simpsons get a lot of plays for us.
Right. Florida Man came in with 100 bits, says 2 things. We can't expose ourselves to insensitive media of the past and learn from ourselves, and electrolytes help plants grow.
Okay,
thanks for that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Raptor fan, thanks so much for resubbing as well. Greatly appreciate that. Always appreciate you popping in there, Florida Man. It's, Chancho says, isn't there a saying about people not knowing their history being doomed to repeat it? Yeah.
That seems to be getting suppressed, that idea, more and more.
Wow. Is this real? Hold on. Com says they removed the Michael Jackson episode.
Yes.
Did they really?
They removed it. You can't watch that on Disney Plus. And that's
really
and that's interesting because there are other actors, other guest stars on other Simpsons episodes who have done there's a lot of controversy about Michael Jackson. I think we're going to be doing an episode on that controversy at some point because I've been a fan of Michael's my whole life. But there are other actors who have been guest stars on The Simpsons who have done some pretty lousy things since their guest spot. Things that have, surfaced over the years that, their episode of The Simpsons is still there. And if you want to go ahead and go through it all, like, it's just, you're going to end up with 30 seconds of The Simpsons after they've been on 100 years because we're going to keep going down this path of insanity where we're too afraid to look behind us and be like, what happened back then? Nothing. Just keep looking forward.
So I have a quick list of the top 25 single greatest guest stars in Simpsons history here.
Okay.
And here we go. Martin Sheen,
Martin Sheen.
not the best.
Mhm.
Donald Sutherland,
Mhm.
William Defoe,
Mm-hmm.
Mandy. I don't know who that is.
Oh, but Hugh Grant, right?
Oh, that was not
Yeah.
Hugh. Mandy.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I
But,
saw Hugh, and I know Hugh Grant did a episode there.
Kirk Douglas, right?
Okay.
Michael Jackson. Did they remove this whole episode? That's crazy.
Yeah, one of the most famous episodes ever.
George Carlin. You know,
Mhm.
just say he's you know,
He's pretty controversial.
Hank Williams Jr. as the Canyonero singer. Oh, Canyonero. Danny DeVito, Michelle
Mhm.
Pfeiffer, Patrick Stewart, Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, hello, Johnny Cash, Glenn Close,
I didn't know Johnny Cash did that Fox.
John Lovitz. You know, this is a lot. You know, this is a
Yeah.
lot of folks, and you know, not everybody here has the,
Yeah.
you know, even Kelsey Grammer. Isn't Kelsey Grammer? Don't people like hate Kelsey Grammer now for something? I don't remember. I remember
Everybody hates everybody for something. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you want to go in and look for the most stellar resume ever. You're not going to find it. You just can't. So, like, you know, we had a conversation a while ago about music and how if I judged every single song I ever listened to based on who sang it, who wrote it, who played on the backing track of it, I would have no music to ever listen to ever. None of us would. And if we're starting to do that with our visual media, because it's going to start with cartoon voices. It's going to start with the content of their what's in the episode with the Muppets. And then it's going to be, well, who actually did the Muppeteering? And then actually who was holding the mic during that episode? You know, it's
Right.
who was the cast and crew? Because you know, Disney has a pretty sketchy history of people they've hired and fired and rehired, as we've discussed. And like, there's no room to talk. You can't say this is wrong. They have no room to say what's right and wrong in this world, just because they've, you know,
Well, they have a platform. Hal says, this is, I've never heard this before, but this is true. This is fascinating. Rodney Dangerfield had a massive wiener and he would expose it to the audience in public. Is that true?
I've never heard that before. I'm not a huge Rodney Dangerfield fan. My fanship of Rodney Dangerfield only extends to the movie Ladybugs and a few others, which many of his movies would not be made today.
Oh, no, listen, I'd say this right now. At Game Attack, we did a movie night where we watched Ladybugs.
Mhm.
And like, I watched that movie all the time growing up, right?
Yeah.
And there are scenes in that movie that just make you uncomfortable now.
When I realized watching that movie lately, I watched it like a year ago. I watched it and I said to myself, 90% of these jokes went over my head.
Oh yeah, I had no idea what was happening.
90% of that movie just went. But yeah, you're right. Watching it today, you're like, oh boy, I would not put that in a movie.
Okay, well, I just Googled Rodney Dangerfield would whip out his penis, and nothing showed up. So,
well, we do know of some comedians these days, I mean, that have gotten in trouble for that. I think Louis C.K. was one of them, you know. And hey, you know, it's your choice. You want to keep listening to his comedy, whatever. I don't know.
Oh my god, that's funny. That's funny. You're right. I should
delete your search history.
Probably right.
Knock on the door after this episode ends.
Oh man,
are you Craig Skistimus?
That's funny.
You looking up Rodney Dangerfield's wiener online?
No,
I mean, I was working.
Doing a podcast, you know, whatever. All right, man. So look, you know, I said this before we went on, and I openly invite anybody on in the comment section who views this show. I would love to give you an opportunity to come on. It doesn't have to be live. We can pre-record it, whatever. I would just love to have a conversation with you. If you very much feel like this is a good idea, like I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to give you an outlet, because people say, well, you only have one side. We don't. We have, like, it was fascinating to hear. We had Dr. Carlin on the other day, and Dr. Carlin, she's like, I'm about as central as it gets. I think people on the left are crazy. I think people on the right are crazy, right? But people are like, no, she voted for Trump, so she's a horrible person. It's like, she clearly has an open mind, and like open-minded people clearly, it's not a good idea today. It's not a good idea to have an open mind. So I want to give you, whoever you are, the opportunity to come on our show and let us know why you feel that these things are good. I would love to hear that. I'm not even saying that it's like this is a bad thing. Like I feel like
we've had a lot of requests for that. Our content seems to be I don't know. We're just doing a show here. We're just doing a show, but people want to categorize it however they want to do it. So I mean, we're all for whatever kind of conversation is interesting, as long as it's going to be entertaining. Just don't come on the show and then buckle up under the pressure. Huh?
Well, there's no pressure. There's no pressure at all. That's the most fascinating thing about it. I was there was a really fascinating example I heard about this the other day as we wrap up. And I'll tell you what, while we're doing this, I would love for you to put your favorite Simpsons quote in while you feed the algorithm song and feed the YouTube algorithm. I would love for you to take this few seconds and post your favorite Simpsons quote in the comments.
I'm Al Gore, the voice of your generation. Young people today, let me ask you this. How can we party? The earth is so big, can we party? I'm Al Gore, the voice of your generation. Party.
Oh, it was about what I was thinking about was Gran Torino. So one of the co-star in that movie, who is Asian, I believe, she co-starred in it with Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood, he says horrible things in that movie. Like, he's this racist, horrible, like almost cartoonish old man, right? And have you seen El Torino before?
No, I haven't seen.
Okay, so that's the idea, right? The whole idea of the story is, he lives in this neighborhood, and it started off as this traditionally white neighborhood, and he stayed there forever, and now he has a pretty ethnic neighborhood around him, and he's really like not into it, and but he wants to stay because he's stubborn, right? And anyway, so he's really racist and says these horrible things. And at the end of the movie, like the long and short of it is, he didn't see these people as people. He just saw them as as minorities, people of color or whatever. And he was really discriminatory towards them. But towards the end of the movie, he gets to know them as neighbors and literally dies for them. And it's like
Spoiler alert.
Well, but yeah, that's the whole idea, is like, you take this flawed, he's the anti-hero in this movie, right? And you see the things he says. Anyways, the co-star in it is like talking about how the movie's inappropriate, and it's been 13, 14 years since it was released now, and talks about how it was inappropriate and it pushed back all these stereotypes and stuff, and how the things that were said by Clint Eastwood in the movie were really bad, and like, that's really unfortunate, right? But I think you're missing the entire point of the movie, which was the idea that people can change if they just open their mind a little bit, So it was crazy.
That's the shame in all of in this conversation is that we have the bigger picture that's usually expressed. You have to invest into the ugliness of what the beautiful result is at the end, or what the lesson is, or the thing that's supposed to make you think. It seems just like people just don't want to think. They don't even want to acknowledge that there's, that could even be a possibility. So yeah, that's a shame, because that sounds like Gran
Torino. That's the movie, not El Camino. Sorry.
How
Gran
could
Torino.
you, Craig? That's the worst gaffe ever.
There you go. Hal over there says, "Oh God, just facepalm." I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Gran Torino. Gran Torino. Calm also gives you the sub to Hal. So There you go. It's just pretty fascinating stuff. We live in a very fascinating time right now. We're closing in an hour, so we're going to wrap it up. But with that said, thank you guys very much for popping in tonight. Whether you're watching over on YouTube, I want to remind you guys we're going to be live on YouTube starting March 1st. That is the upcoming Monday. We're streaming to Twitch and to YouTube. It's going to be good. So listen, we're going to have some wars over who's best. I'm also excited to see. Our YouTube audience they're not like the most hardcore of the audience, the Twitch audience is, right? So be interested to see, how the shows go with a dual audience. So that'll be on March 1st, which is great. And look at that. Com, gift another sub to Tom. That's great, man. Yeah. So there you guys.
We're starting March 1st. Half of the audience, you suck.
Yeah.
The other half of the audience, hey guys, let's just get along. This is all right.
So on March 2nd, we'll return back to Twitch. No. All right, guys. Have a great day. Once again, if you're watching over on YouTube, come join me over on twitch.tv/CraigSkits right now. Come on over and join us. A lot of great people have been coming over from these streams and are from the podcast, and that's been really, really exciting. I'm Brad. I don't know if you know this. I'm still trying to break a world record on Super Mario 35. I came really close today. So yeah. So maybe I'll do it today.
Get it on. Do it.
Right. See you guys over there, guys. Remember, people are going to try to bring you down. Don't let them. You got to go get it. See you guys tomorrow for episode 64 of Weekdays with Craig and Brad.